Most people think saving money is a math problem. You earn X, you spend less than X, you save the difference. Simple, right? So why does it feel so hard? Why does some months you try, genuinely try, and still end the month with almost nothing set aside? Why does the progress feel so slow, it's almost invisible? Here's the thing nobody talks about. The first $1,000 you save is not a financial challenge, it's a psychological one. And once you understand what's actually happening in your mind during that first phase, everything about saving changes. Not just how much you save, but how it feels to save. This video is about that shift, and why, once you cross that first real milestone, the whole game plays differently. Let's be honest about how this usually goes. You decide to start saving. You're motivated. You cut something out. Maybe you skip a few coffees, maybe you cook at home more often. And at the end of the month, you check. You've saved $60, maybe $80 on a good month. You do the math. At this rate, $1,000 will take a year? And something quietly deflates inside you. Not because you failed, but because the effort felt real and the result felt invisible. That gap between effort and visible reward is the first psychological trap of early saving. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain has a system for evaluating whether something is worth continuing. If the feedback is fast and visible, you stay motivated. If the feedback is slow and invisible, motivation drops. Saving money in the early phase gives almost no fast feedback. You make a sacrifice, you delay a pleasure, you add $20 to a savings account, and then nothing changes. Life looks the same, you feel the same. So the problem isn't that you're bad with money. The problem is that your brain is very good at detecting when effort isn't producing visible results, and it quietly starts asking, is this even worth it? So why specifically is the first $1,000 the hardest? 3 reasons. First, there's no momentum yet. At zero, every dollar you save feels like it came only from discipline, from willpower, from saying no. There's no help, just effort. Second, there's no proof yet. You know saving works in theory, but your brain doesn't run on theory. It runs on experience, and you don't have the experience yet. Third, and this one matters most, there's no identity yet. You don't yet think of yourself as someone who saves. You're just someone who's trying. And trying is fragile. It depends on motivation staying high. Identity is different. Identity is stable. Identity doesn't need motivation every single morning. But you can't build the identity before the experience. And you can't build the experience before the milestone. That's the loop. That's why the beginning is the hardest part. But here's where something changes. The day you hit $1,000, not in a plan, but in a real account with your name on it, something shifts. Not dramatically, not overnight, but something real happens in how you relate to saving. You have proof now. Your brain has evidence. I did this. I saved this. It's real. That first milestone creates the first piece of a new story you tell yourself about money. And that story, small as it is, becomes the foundation everything else gets built on. This is the part most financial advice skips completely. Once that first milestone exists, the psychology of saving starts to compound. Here's how it works. Progress creates motivation. When you see a savings account that already has something in it, your brain responds differently. It's not starting from zero. There's already something to protect, something to grow. That motivation changes your behavior. You make slightly different decisions. You notice opportunities to save that you didn't notice before. Not because your income changed, because your attention changed. That new behavior, repeated over time, strengthens your identity. You start to think of yourself as someone who manages money well, not as a goal, as a fact. And that identity makes future saving easier because you're no longer fighting your self-image. You're acting in line with it. This is compound psychology. And just like compound interest, it starts slow and then accelerates in ways that feel almost unfair. Now here's where the second layer comes in. Because once the psychological compound effect is running, the math starts helping too. Let's make this concrete. Imagine you save $200 a month. First year, you're at roughly $2,400. The interest barely registers. But you keep going. By year 3, you have around $7,500, and now the interest is adding $30, $40, $50 per month on its own. That's a week of groceries, generated without any extra effort from you. By year 7, $15,000 or more, interest adding $100, $150 a month. Money working while you sleep. The numbers aren't magic, but the feeling is something new. Because now you're not just a person who saves, you're a person whose savings produce more savings. That changes how money feels and how the future feels. There's one more thing worth saying clearly, because a lot of saving advice is about numbers. Hit this amount, reach this goal, follow this budget. But the real reason saving matters, especially early, isn't the number itself. It's what the number represents. $1,000 in savings doesn't make you rich, but it means the next time something unexpected happens, a car repair, a medical bill, a gap between jobs, you have options. You don't have to say yes to the first solution available. You don't have to take on debt you didn't plan for. You don't have to ask someone else to solve your problem. That's not a small thing. That's breathing room. And as the savings grow, the breathing room grows. Not into luxury, into freedom, into choice, the ability to make decisions from a calmer place. The people who feel most in control of their financial lives, it's rarely because they earn the most. It's usually because they reached a point where their savings started to represent options, not just a number on a screen. So here's what this all comes down to. The first $1,000 is hard because it produces almost nothing visible. No big reward, no dramatic life change, no proof until it's there. But crossing that threshold creates something that no financial formula can shortcut. The experience of having done it. That experience changes your belief. Your belief changes your behavior. Your behavior changes your results. And your results change who you are. That's not inspiration. That's just how it actually works. So if you're somewhere in the early phase right now, grinding through the part where the effort is real and the progress feels invisible, know that this is the hardest stretch. Not because you're doing it wrong, because the beginning is structurally harder. Every single person who built real financial stability went through this exact phase. The goal right now isn't $10,000. It isn't retirement. It's $1,000 in an account, real, yours. Because everything that follows gets built on top of that.